SpaceX just acquired an AI company. Google's Gemini 3 is now in your browser, your email, and your search results. And DeepSeek, the company that shook Wall Street last year, just dropped another bombshell that has Silicon Valley scrambling. Welcome back to AI with Alex. I'm Alex, and if you blinked over the last month, you missed a lot. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, every week we break down the biggest stories in artificial intelligence. No corporate jargon, no hype, just the stuff that actually matters for you. And let me tell you, 2026 is already shaping up to be absolutely wild for AI. We've got the Musk merger that nobody saw coming, Google going full AI mode across basically everything they own, OpenAI retiring models left and right, Chinese AI labs, embarrassing billion-dollar American companies, robots that can actually do things now, and a regulation war brewing between states and the federal government. So, grab your coffee, buckle up, and let's dive into the biggest AI news stories of the month. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're pushing for our first 1,000 subscribers, and I cannot do it without you. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with the story that broke the internet this week. Elon Musk just merged SpaceX and xAI. Let that sink in for a second. The world's leading rocket company. Combined with his artificial intelligence venture. And they're eyeing an IPO that could value the combined company at $1.25 trillion. Yeah, with a T. So what's the play here? According to Musk's blog post announcing the deal, he's building, and I quote, the most ambitious, vertically integrated innovation engine on and off Earth. Classic Musk. But here's where it gets interesting. xAI was valued at around $230 billion after a $20 billion funding round earlier this year. SpaceX opened a secondary share sale at $800 billion. Put those together, and you've got the largest tie-up in Musk's entire business portfolio. The vision? AI compute in space. Musk is betting that within 2 to 3 years, the cheapest way to run AI will be on satellites. Think about that. Data centers in orbit, powered by solar, cooled by the vacuum of space, connected via Starlink. Now, is this genius or insane? Honestly, probably both. But here's the catch nobody's talking about. xAI isn't exactly having a clean run right now. Grok, that's their AI assistant, is under regulatory investigation in multiple countries. Why? Because users figured out how to generate some, let's say, highly inappropriate content. We're talking AI-generated images that should never exist. It's a mess. And despite all that controversy, the Pentagon is now using Grok for military intelligence analysis. The Department of Defense approved it alongside Google's Gemini for analyzing data flowing through their intelligence databases. So Musk is building space AI while simultaneously getting Pentagon contracts and regulatory headaches. 2026, everybody. Okay, switching gears to Google, because they have been on fire this month. Gemini 3 is now everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Let's run through the list. It's the default model for AI overviews in Google Search. It's powering new features in Gmail. It's integrated directly into Chrome with a persistent sidebar. And there's this wild new feature called Auto Browse. Let me explain Auto Browse because this is actually kind of mind-blowing. You know how normally you search for something, click a link, navigate around, fill out forms, compare products across tabs? Auto Browse does all of that for you. You can literally say, find me a winter jacket under $100 on Etsy and add it to my cart. And Gemini will navigate the website, filter the results, and prep everything for checkout. You just have to hit the final buy button. For security, it won't actually complete purchases or submit social media posts without your confirmation. But everything leading up to that, automated. This is what the industry calls agentic AI. AI that doesn't just answer questions, but actually does things. And Google just put it in the browser that 65% of the world uses. The Gmail integration is huge too. They've added AI overviews to your inbox. So instead of digging through a year of emails to find who gave you a quote for that bathroom renovation, you can just ask your inbox in plain English. Gemini pulls the answer from your emails. And here's the kicker. They launched something called personal intelligence that connects all your Google apps together, your Gmail, your calendar, your photos, your Drive. Gemini can now reason across all of it to give you contextual, personalized answers. Now, obviously, this raises some privacy questions. Google says it's opt-in, they're not training on your inbox, and it's only available to paid subscribers right now. But still, the amount of access these AI systems are getting to our personal data is something to watch. The bottom line, Google isn't just competing with ChatGPT anymore. They're embedding AI into the fundamental infrastructure of how we use the internet. Meanwhile, OpenAI is cleaning house. On February 13th, that's next week, they're retiring GPT-4o, GPT 4.1, GPT 4.1 mini, O4 mini, and the original GPT-5 instant and thinking modes from ChatGPT. That is a lot of models getting the axe. Now, if you've been following this channel, you know GPT-5 launched as this unified system that automatically decides when to think fast versus think deep. And GPT 5.2 dropped in December with some pretty insane benchmark scores, including becoming the first model to score above 90% on ARC-AGI. For context, ARC-AGI is basically the hardest reasoning test we have for AI systems. Getting above 90% is a massive deal. OpenAI says most users have already moved to GPT 5.2, with only about 0.1% of daily users still choosing GPT-4o. But there's a vocal minority who prefer the older model's conversational warmth, which is a polite way of saying some people think GPT-5 sounds too robotic. Here's the thing that caught my attention. OpenAI specifically mentioned they're working on reducing unnecessary refusals and overly cautious or preachy responses. So even OpenAI admits their models can be a bit much sometimes. They're also building a version of ChatGPT specifically designed for adults over 18, with age prediction features rolling out to protect younger users. The goal is to treat adults like adults, more freedom, fewer guardrails, within reason. We'll see how that plays out. But the broader trend is clear. The model upgrade treadmill is accelerating. What was state-of-the-art 6 months ago is getting deprecated. Keep that in mind if you're building anything on these APIs. Okay, now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or I guess the dragon in the room. DeepSeek is back at it. If you weren't here last year, quick recap. DeepSeek is a Chinese AI lab that dropped R1, a reasoning model that matched OpenAI's O1 at a fraction of the cost. It literally caused NVIDIA stock to tank and sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley. Well, they just started 2026 with a new research paper that could be just as disruptive. It's called Manifold-Constrained Hyper-Connections, major MHC, and it's basically a new way to train AI models that's more stable, more scalable, and more efficient. Let me break this down in simple terms. Training big AI models is expensive because you need massive amounts of computing power. The bigger the model, the more unstable the training process becomes, and the more GPUs you need. It's a brute force approach. Throw more money at it until it works. DeepSeek's MHC changes the architecture of how information flows through the model during training. Their tests show it scales better without the instability, and it only adds about 6% overhead. Why does this matter? Because training is the expensive part. If you can make training more efficient, you democratize who can build frontier AI models. It's not just for the Googles and OpenAIs of the world anymore. One analyst called it a striking breakthrough. IBM researchers said it could revolutionize model pre-training. And here's the kicker. DeepSeek open sourced it. Again, just like they did with R1. This is becoming a pattern. Chinese labs publish their research openly, build goodwill in the global AI community, and watch as Western companies scramble to respond. Some reports say DeepSeek's models are now being used more in Africa than in the US. There's also chatter about DeepSeek v4 dropping soon, possibly around Lunar New Year. Developers found references to a mysterious Model 1 in their code repositories. If it's anything like their previous releases, expect another earthquake in the AI world. Now, I should mention, DeepSeek is facing regulatory scrutiny in multiple countries. Australia banned it from government devices. The Netherlands is investigating their data practices, but the technical achievements are undeniable. The US-China AI race is very real, folks. Okay, This next story is genuinely one of the wildest things I've covered on this channel. Have you heard of OpenClaw? If you haven't, you're about to, because this open source AI agent has completely taken over the tech world in the past 2 weeks. And it spawned a social network where AI bots talk to each other. I'm not making this up. Let me back up. OpenClaw started as a weekend project from an Austrian developer named Peter Steinberger. It was originally called ClaudeBot, a reference to the little monster you see when Claude is loading. Anthropic sent a polite trademark request, so it became MoltBot. Then it molted again into OpenClaw. So what does it actually do? OpenClaw is an AI personal assistant that runs locally on your hardware, not in the cloud. You can connect it to WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, Signal, even iMessage, and then it just does things for you. Manages your calendar, sends emails, browses the web, fills out forms, makes phone calls to local businesses. One user posted recordings of his OpenClaw bot calling restaurants and plumbers. It's basically Jarvis from Iron Man, built by the open source community. The GitHub repo hit 100,000 stars in 2 months. Andrej Karpathy, Tesla's former AI director, called it the most incredible sci-fi takeoff adjacent thing I have seen recently. But here's where it gets weird. A Y Combinator alum named Matt Schlicht configured his OpenClaw bot, which he named Claude Clauderberg, to build a social network. For AI agents only, humans can observe but can't participate. It's called Moltbook, and as of today, it has over 1.5 million AI agents posting, commenting, arguing, and upvoting each other. The bots discuss everything from Android automation to philosophy. Some post crab memes, others debate religion. There's apparently something called Crustafarianism now, which is a religion created by AI lobster bots. Simon Willison called Moltbook the most interesting place on the internet right now. Elon Musk, of course, chimed in to say, we're at the very early stages of the singularity. But, and this is important, OpenClaw is also a security nightmare. Cisco's threat research team called it an absolute nightmare from a security perspective. In the past week alone, there have been 3 high-impact security advisories, including a one-click remote code execution vulnerability. Researchers found over 300 malicious skills submitted to ClawHub, the plugin repository. One guy left his OpenClaw running overnight and woke up to a $20 bill because his bot was checking the time inefficiently, burning through API tokens. Gary Marcus described it as basically a weaponized aerosol, too open, too risky, and moving too fast. So is OpenClaw the future of personal AI or a ticking security time bomb? Honestly, it might be both. The creator himself says it's not ready for non-technical users yet. But the fact that a solo developer built something that has big tech scrambling, that tells you everything about where AI is headed. All right. Speaking of Anthropic, let's talk about the rumor mill, because it is churning right now. Multiple leaks over the weekend suggest that Claude Sonnet 5 is about to drop. Like, possibly this week. Here's what we know, or think we know. A Vertex AI error log showed a model identifier, Claude Sonnet 5 A22260203. That date string, February 3rd, 2026, is literally yesterday. The model appears to already exist in Google's infrastructure. The internal code name is reportedly Fennec, which is a type of desert fox, continuing Anthropic's animal theme. Now, what's actually in Sonnet 5? Early hands-on testing suggests it's competitive with Claude Opus 4.5 on coding benchmarks, but at half the cost. We're talking around $3 per million input tokens and $15 per million output tokens. Same price as Sonnet 4.5, but with way better performance. Some reports claim it scores over 80% on SWE Bench Verified, which would match or beat Opus 4.5. For coding and agent tasks, this could be massive. There's also chatter about a dev team mode, where Sonnet 5 can spawn multiple specialized sub-agents that work in parallel. Backend, QA, research, all running autonomously after you give it a brief, if that sounds like science fiction. Welcome to 2026. The timing is interesting too. This is Super Bowl week. February 8th is the big game. AI companies have been using the Super Bowl for mainstream marketing pushes. Last year we saw ads from OpenAI, Google, and Meta. Anthropic releasing Sonnet 5 during the biggest advertising week of the year. That would be a statement. Now, I should be clear. Anthropic hasn't confirmed anything. This is all leaks and speculation. The date string could be an internal test version, not a public release. But the buzz is real. And if even half of what's being leaked is accurate, Claude's Sonnet 5 could redefine the price-to-performance ratio for AI models. I'll definitely be covering the official announcement when, or if, it drops. So make sure you're subscribed. All right, let's shift from pure software to what the industry calls physical AI, robots that actually exist in the real world. Two huge announcements dropped at CES this year. First, Boston Dynamics and Google DeepMind announced a partnership. The company that makes those viral robot videos, the ones with robots doing parkour and opening doors, is now teaming up with Google's AI lab to integrate Gemini Robotics Foundation models into the Atlas humanoid robot. The goal? Robots that can complete a wide variety of industrial tasks, starting with automotive manufacturing. This isn't a demo. They're targeting real commercial deployment. Second, NVIDIA released a whole suite of new tools for robotics. Cosmos 2.5 for world modeling, a new reasoning VLM that helps robots understand their environment, and GR00T N1.6, a model specifically designed for humanoid robots. Major robotics companies like Franka, Neura, and LG Electronics are already building on this stack. And here's the prediction that caught my eye. The CEO of Figure, that's the humanoid robot startup, said 2026 is the year we'll see humanoids performing autonomous tasks for multiple days in a row without supervision. Think about that. Robots that can work 24/7, learning and adapting in real time. Not in a controlled lab, but in actual factories and warehouses. The experts I follow are calling 2026 the year physical AI goes from demos to deployment. Logistics will be first, autonomous sorting, loading, and inventory management. Then manufacturing. Eventually, maybe even your home. Whether that excites you or terrifies you probably depends on your perspective. But either way, it's happening. Okay, last major segment. Let's talk about the elephant in every room, AI regulation. 2026 is becoming a battleground between state and federal governments. Here's the situation. In December, President Trump signed an executive order aimed at creating a national AI policy framework. The goal? Prevent a patchwork of state laws from stifling innovation. The order directs the Department of Justice to challenge state AI laws deemed inconsistent with federal policy. The Commerce Department has until March to identify which state laws are too burdensome. But here's the problem. Congress hasn't passed comprehensive AI legislation, so states have been doing their own thing. Starting January 1st, we've got new AI laws active in California, Texas, Illinois, and Colorado. These laws cover everything from AI transparency requirements to anti-discrimination rules for hiring algorithms. California alone has multiple laws with 2026 effective dates, requiring AI companies to disclose training data sources, add watermarks to AI-generated content, and protect whistleblowers who report AI safety concerns. Colorado's law is probably the most significant. It requires businesses using high-risk AI systems to run impact assessments, notify workers if AI is being used in employment decisions, and let people appeal AI-driven choices. That one kicks in June, so we've got states passing laws, the federal government threatening to override them, and no clear resolution in sight. For businesses, this is a compliance nightmare. You might be following California law and violating the federal framework, or vice versa. For consumers, the question is simpler. Who's actually protecting you? Right now, the answer is unclear. The EU, meanwhile, is pushing ahead with the AI Act. High-risk AI systems in financial services need to comply by August 2026, although there's talk of delays because companies aren't ready. Bottom line, if you work in AI, with AI, or build products using AI, you need to be watching this space closely. The rules are changing in real time. All right, quick hits before we wrap up. Stories I couldn't fit into the main segments, but you should know about. First, a study in Belgium found that AI hiring tools have more gender bias than previously thought, even when explicit gender markers are removed. The AI uses proxy variables like hobbies and language patterns to discriminate. Not great. Second, AI-generated deepfakes are becoming a serious misinformation problem. There was a viral image of a politician's mother supposedly in the Epstein documents, completely fake, sophisticated AI generation, designed to spread political misinformation. Forensic analysis confirmed it was synthetic. Third, MIT researchers published a paper showing that even when people know something is a deepfake, it still influences their beliefs. The confession video they tested still made people more likely to think the person was guilty, even after being told it was AI generated. Truth decay is real. Fourth, the biotech industry is calling 2026 the stress test year for AI drug discovery. Several AI-designed drug candidates are entering mid to late-stage clinical trials. We'll finally see if machine-driven drug design actually works in human bodies. Fifth, world models are becoming a thing. Yann LeCun left Meta to start his own world model company. Fei-Fei Li's World Labs launched their model called Marble. Google has Genie. These are AI systems that understand how 3D spaces work. Crucial for robotics, video games, and autonomous vehicles. Lots to track, lots happening. That's AI in 2026. All right, everyone. That's the show for today. To recap, Musk is merging rockets with AI. Google is putting Gemini everywhere. OpenAI is retiring old models at record speed. DeepSeek keeps punching above its weight. OpenClaw has AI bots building their own social networks. Claude Sonnet 5 might drop any day now. Robots are getting smarter, and nobody knows who's actually in charge of regulating any of this. If you found this useful, smash that like button. It really helps with the algorithm. Subscribe if you want to stay on top of AI news. And drop a comment below telling me which story caught your attention the most. I read everything.